Ladies and gentlemen, you're tuned in to the AFTERBUZZ TV After Show for Netflix's Lady Dynamite. Today we'll be covering episodes 1 and 2, giving you our thoughts, ideas, predictions, so stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Okay, little Teo Cruz. True confession, guys, we looked for the Lady Dynamite theme on YouTube, and we couldn't find it, so we thought this would be a good alternative. It's got the word dynamite in it.
Yep. Totally applies.
Totally applies. Welcome to the AFTERBUZZ TV After Show for Lady Dynamite, guys. We're so excited to be here. This is Maria Bamford's big breakout role. She's been gunning in the alt comedy scene for a long time, and I feel like she really deserves this.
She absolutely deserves it.
Yeah.
Everybody's been waiting for her show for a long time.
I know.
It's here, it's arrived, it's super exciting.
Yeah, so can't wait to talk about it. We're talking about episodes 1 and 2 today. But before we dive in, I want to let you guys know that my name is Jeff Graham. You guys can find me on Twitter at Jeffrey C. Graham. I'll be leading this panel with these amazing, wonderful, beautiful lady co-hosts. Introduce yourselves, guys.
I'm Tamra Brown. You can find me on Twitter at BrownTamra.
I'm Kelsey Hightower, and you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, anything social media at Kels Hightower.
Well, hey everybody, I'm Lisa Mason Lee, and you can find me everywhere at Lisa Mason Lee.
There it is. So follow us, and also follow the show. Follow us on AfterBuzzTV.com, follow us on iTunes, follow us on YouTube, like, subscribe, 5 stars. That's not a thing anymore, is it?
5 stars.
5 stars on iTunes, like us on YouTube.
Yes.
Give us a Yelp review.
Give us
anything.
a Yelp review. I think we just got a Snapchat, so you can follow us on Snapchat.
I just got into Snapchat. I'm finally understanding it.
I
love it.
Right?
There's a learning
Favorite thing.
curve.
Same here.
Yeah.
I
It's
don't
fun
know
though.
if I'm like, I want to keep the things. They just disappear.
Oh no, you can.
You can.
download
You
them.
can.
Yes.
They'll
but
have
the
to
quality,
teach me.
The
I can
quality's
show you
lower.
how.
Yeah.
All right, we'll do that after the show.
Yeah.
So before we dive in, I want to explain to you guys how this after show is going to work. As we all know, all 12 episodes dropped. And believe it or not, our panel's actually doing our best to withhold our excitement, and we're watching 2 at a time. And so we're resisting the binge.
It's so hard.
It's so hard, I know. Right when I finished episode 2, I was like, oh, I want to watch more.
Let's
It
crank out.
automatically
Yeah.
goes to the next one.
I
was like,
know. It's so,
It's
I
so
know.
anti-Netflix. They're against they want you to binge.
I know.
Yeah.
So we're going to be rebellious because Maria Bamford's a rebel. So if anyone wants to watch 2 at a time, we'll be making predictions. We're going to be making organic observations about the show. We'll be going live at 7 p.m. PST on Mondays, but you can also follow us on our podcast, which you can find on iTunes. So that's the show, and we're
Yep.
so excited you're with us. All right, before we get into it, I want to ask all of you guys what your history with Maria Bamford is.
Well, I was asking you guys before the show started if anybody else on this panel are comedians. I'm a comic, and so I have done shows with Maria for years. She doesn't know me. Let me point that out right away. Like, I'm nowhere near in her, caliber or level or anything like that.
But stand-in, though. I was just thinking.
What's that?
You guys kind of a similar.
Oh,
you could
yeah?
be like her stand-in or something.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I dig that. I'll take it. I'll take it. But yeah, so I've known her for. I've known her. She has not known me for, oh my God, I don't even know how long. Super long time. But I'm also super excited to see so many comedy local celebrities in this awesome show too. It's so great. Yeah.
Yeah, how about you guys?
I don't really have a history with her, so I'm coming at this from a fresh perspective.
Awesome.
So I'm really excited to see this. I just, I like comedy and I follow that, so that's why I was like all about this show.
Great.
Well, I discovered Maria because I actually worked background on the pilot, believe it or not.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, you can actually see me in one of the scenes, the spaghetti
wow.
scene.
Here we
But
go.
anyway, I had heard about it and I was like, oh yeah, I worked on that. And then also I checked out the special where she does stand up in her living room, and it's hysterical.
So good.
And I was totally sold on Maria.
Yeah.
Yeah, her voice as a comic is just so strange, but so specific. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's just so funny. And it's so much fun to see her voice just turned into a sitcom. And I don't think a show like this ever could have existed before our streaming era.
Right.
I don't think this is going to be the kind of show that would run on like NBC, for example.
No.
The breaking the fourth wall, but doing it in such a such a like unique way that hasn't been done before. It's not like the Zach Morris doing the intentional turn to the camera. It's like this whole other world where she's in the scene and then Patton Oswalt. It's like, I don't know if I've seen the fourth wall broken in this particular way before.
Yeah, it's very meta, but like intentionally meta and just like so great. I was excited because I saw that Mitch Hurwitz was show running, and Arrested Development is one of my favorite shows of all time. I don't know if you guys like that show or not. This stuff you can tell.
I'm just kidding. Everybody loves that show.
Everybody loves that show. And then Pam Brady too. I like South Park. She got her start there.
That's what I was excited about. I was like, South Park. Oh my gosh, this has been great.
Yeah.
And all the political things that they kind of toss in there, like sneak in a little bit. It's just like real right up my alley.
That doesn't take itself too seriously, but still says serious things. I was so excited for that reason, and what I love about these streaming services is they can kind of allow the minds of showrunners to just run wild. And I think in the same way that like Kimmy Schmidt feels like a product of a 30 Rock but on streaming, this kind of feels like a product of an Arrested Development but on streaming. I don't know if you guys feel like the transition songs and the feel definitely has that Arrested Development feel, but with a lot of other unique twists and a lot of things I don't think we've ever seen before.
Yeah.
So do you guys want to get into it?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Yay.
All right, so the pilot, the very first thing we see is this hair commercial. Crazy, right? So funny. I think my favorite voice that Maria Bamford does is like her like commercial voice, where she's like, "Hi, ladies. This is," you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that was fun. What do you guys think of starting the show out this way?
You just don't know what to expect. I didn't know what to expect right away from the beginning. It kind of sets it up like it's almost going to be a sketch show is what I was kind of thinking right off the top.
Yeah, and you don't know what to expect because it's the very first thing that you see, and so you're like, oh, okay, it's very much a Kimmy Schmidt kind of feel to it, and so you're like following it along, and then all of a sudden it's like, cut, this isn't real, it's a commercial, and you're like, okay, so first off, we're like switching worlds like right off the bat, which is pretty cool. So it's very unique in how they do that.
Right. Not only it's like a show within a show, but then it also goes back to her past of who she was, and now it's about her present of how she's getting her career back in line.
Right. There are all these timelines that we're gonna have to talk about because
Yes, because
I'm still kind of wrapping my head around it.
But I'm glad it cut right away after the commercial like that because it kind of get us used to the fact that it's gonna jump like that.
Right.
It was
right
smart
from
of
the
them
start.
to do that.
Right from the start, we're jarred out of it, so we can kind of know what tonally to expect, I feel like. So then, of course, even the credits are crazy. The 20-second little bumper we get into the show. And then we meet Maria's manager, Bruce Ben Backrack.
I love his name.
I know. Those 3 B's are great. And this is funny. They haven't seen each other for 6 months, so right away we learned that Maria's been in Duluth for 6 months. And they're meeting back for the first time, and Bruce Ben Backrack is kind of trying to bring himself back into the Hollywood scene. He has this Hollywood power desk. He has these boots, and of course, the boots. And of course, the desk right
Glass
away.
table.
glass
Table.
But
Right away.
I'm
Frank.
glad they didn't go. I was waiting for like the Burt Bacharach reference that he's gonna have right away, and I feel like it was an intentional non-joke not to
Right.
go for that. Maybe it's gonna be in the pocket. Again, we've only seen the first
We've
two,
only seen two.
so
Good point.
it's probably in the pocket later on. But like, it's just. Super rad, any quiet wink of some celebrity that anybody under 35 doesn't know who that is now. So I love that.
Tamra, admittedly, I don't know who Burt Bacharach is. Help me out. Who is this?
He's a composer. He musician. Let's see. Oh God, I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but like 100 of his songs. They've been in movies and TV shows since the 60s. So like, I'm gonna think of an example and get back to you while we're talking.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Maybe we can open on a Burt Bacharach song next episode.
Yeah.
Totally.
So this is interesting. I feel like what's so interesting is Maria comes in, and he's pushing all these projects. He wants to come out swinging. And she's like, no, less ambitious, less stuff. I just want to pull back.
And his response is, so no work for Maria.
Yeah, no work for Maria.
Right.
Yeah. She's like, well, not no work, but what I love about this is it's funny because I feel like he's coming out swinging. He wants to come back. He has these new boots. He has this new desk. And Maria's like, no, I want to pull back. So right away we have this dichotomy. I want to ask you guys, what do you think of the performance of this actor? It is, I have his name right here. We're actually working on booking him for the show, too.
Sweet.
So hopefully stand by. This is Fred Melman. What do you guys think of his performance? What do you think of his character?
Oh, I think he's always great. Fred's been working since like the 60s. He's been in many TV shows and different movies, and he's just one of those solid actors. It's always good.
Yeah. A lot of Woody Allen films, right?
Yeah.
That's what I was reading. Which is a good get for the show.
Yeah, he was in Hail Caesar as well, and
right.
New Girl recently. So
Yeah.
That's who plays Bruce?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He's great. I like he kind of has the feel, he's a little bit of a straight man. I feel like we're in this world of crazy characters, and to me he seems like the most grounded. At least right now. I don't know what we're going to see, but it's refreshing around all this zaniness. You could also argue that Maria's a bit of a straight man too, but...
Yeah, you could make that argument, because she's just trying to do good. She's not trying to, you're right.
Yeah.
That's true. I could absolutely see that. But Fred might be, or Bruce, the character, might be her straight man, I guess, because he is kind of, off with all his boots, the Hollywood boots, his power boots, and the new glass table. Like, it seems like he's kind of going for, like, whatever's the biggest and the best, or, I'm a manager, I'm going to, present myself as a Hollywood manager, and I like how they spin that, how they talk about the agent and the manager in the show and make fun of it,
Right.
and all the jokes for that, like, that is on point, I think. I really like that, so.
It does get very inside baseball with, like, a lot of LA, and I always wonder, like, for people who don't live in LA, or, in the business, like, how much is it relatable outside of that? But I don't think it matters. I mean, I love any love story to Los Angeles, any TV show that does
Same
that.
here.
So I particularly I especially love those details. But I always wonder, let us know outside if you live in. Actually, if you live in Minnesota, you're feeling the same thing. You're loving probably the local references.
Yeah, it's an interesting observation. Netflix in general has been, did you guys watch Love, Judd Apatow's show?
I was just thinking of that because it's all about working in TV.
Yeah, and this is too.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. People write what they know. These showrunners work in TV. Maria's worked in TV.
Yeah.
It's
and
nice.
And the way Patton keeps being like, don't do stand up. You don't need to, oh God, the brick wall. Those things.
Louis getting shit.
Like the cliches of behind the curtain of the way a comedy show is put together.
Yeah. I'm excited to dig into that stuff for sure. So then we leave. They decide Maria's first goal coming back to LA is that she wants to have a park bench. That's
right.
It starts small. Don't shoot too big. Let's just make a park bench happen. I think all of us could kind of tell probably even from the start. Who knows if that's even going to work out? But so she goes home. We meet her friends Dagmar and Larissa. Is that the actress's name, Dagmar?
No, Bridget Everett.
Yeah, Bridget. She's been
Everett.
working for a while too. I've
She's great.
seen her around.
She's on Amy Schumer a lot lately.
Yeah.
And she's been around for a really long time, and she's amazing. And I would love to see her in person, but I never have before.
I know she had a one-woman show in New York that my friend saw, and I think she took off all her clothes, and she sounds like a very fearless
She pushes
actress.
the envelope.
Gotta
So I love this name Dagmar. I don't know what that comes from, but
That reference I didn't get. I don't know.
I don't know if
I don't
it
know
means
either.
anything. It might just have
It
sounded
seems
funny.
kind of
to write.
tough though, Dagmar.
Dagmar, yeah. And she is kind of tough. I think
She
we get that
is.
impression.
Oh, for sure.
And then Larissa,
Yes.
who's
Lennon
Parham,
Parham.
who I don't know if you guys
She's
watch
great.
Playing House, but I love that show actually on USA.
Okay, so that's where she's from. All
Yeah,
right.
she's kind of been working too. It's all these.
She's been an improviser and a UCB person for a really long, and she's great.
She's great, yeah.
Loved her for a long time.
So we kind of meet these two friends, and what do you guys think of these friends? They didn't really seem like great friends.
No,
huh?
absolutely not. No wonder she's in the psych ward.
Oh, yeah, seriously.
Everyone around her almost seems more crazy than her sometimes, if you know what I'm saying.
Absolutely. That's one of the things I wanted to talk about because, I mean, we'll get into it, but her family, too, is so insensitive about her illness, and we'll get into it. But, I kind of got the impression that Larissa was kind of this L.A. kind of girl. She's into numerology.
Right.
She thinks she's, altruistic, but she's just very self-centered.
But isn't that super? I mean, don't you know 10 people like that?
Yeah.
That's what I loved about that character.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yep.
So we find out that Larissa's going to become Maria's assistant.
Yep.
I think that's going to be a fun bit as we keep going.
Totally.
And then Patton Oswalt shows up. So this is when the show really starts to deconstruct, and we kind of see it knows it's a comedy show. It knows it's a show, like an auteur show, featuring, a single stand-up, but it doesn't want to be the same show we've all seen. So he finds out that Maria's going to do stand-up on her show, and right away he shuts it down. What did you guys think of being so... This was a very on-the-nose kind of meta, but also subtle way to address this problem. What did you guys think of this?
I'm actually, I was kind of glad they did that because Patton kind of took the steering wheel for a minute, because when he just came on as the police officer, I was like, is Patton Oswalt really playing this, like, minor character? That's so crazy to me. So I was happy when he, kind of started directing.
Yeah, it was fun, for sure. But he starts to tell her that, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm actually going to wait, and then we're going to get there in a minute, but... So
it's kind of crazy though. Do we think it's too much? Because like right when that happened, I mean, were there flashbacks before that, or did we go from past?
I think we've only been
thing?
in the present so far, but this is when the door starts to open.
Okay, because there for a second I was like, a lot's happening, like it's very jarring, which I liked about it and I appreciate it, but I didn't know if it was too. Did it feel too much like at once? For anybody?
It was
a
lot. I mean, I kind of knew going in that it was going to be crazy. It's so interesting to me as someone who had never heard Maria Bamford's comedy. You must have just been gobsmacked by how crazy this show was because her voice is so wild. But I went back and watched these episodes a couple times.
I did the same.
Did you notice a difference on your second viewing?
Yeah, when I watched it twice, because I watched it 2 times, and so the second one that I watched, it was like, okay, it's a story, I see it, like I really appreciated it more the second time that I watched it, because I knew everything was coming, like I knew the tone of it and what they were going to be doing, all the jarriness of it, and I think as I went into the second episode, which I know we're not there yet, but as I watched the second one, I was getting more used to that, so I think as we go through the series, I think it's going to be easier to watch because our brain's going to be used to it.
Right, the jumping back and forth.
It was just the pilot, I was like, on like the 3rd or 4th thing that they did, I was like, wait, am I still following this? I don't know if I can follow. It's so
right.
Well, let's talk about it. I think there are 3 timelines, right? So it seems like we have Maria in the present.
Right.
Yes.
We have Maria pre-breakdown, and then we have Maria during breakdown. And so we'll call that past, Duluth, I think is what the show is calling it, and then
Duluth.
present.
Yeah.
So we know it's Duluth because there's this kind of blue saturation on this frame. They even dug into that, how we're supposed to. And the first way we're clued as to how we transition between timelines is this Breaking Bad reference. Do you guys watch Breaking Bad?
Yeah.
All of a sudden we see the one-eyed pink teddy bear in the tank.
She pulls it out and hands it to the little girl.
I love it. That was so great.
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden we're thrown into the past. And I think Maria's meeting Karen Gresham for the first time. Are you guys Anna Gasteyer fans at all?
Yeah, I don't know who you're talking about.
You're totally. So she's the crazy agent. They're at the restaurant.
Oh, the agent. Yeah. Sorry.
Totally, no, first after show, a lot of characters, a lot of names. So yeah, we meet this crazy agent. Lisa, what do you think of this character?
Oh, she's a very eccentric version of what you think an agent would be in Hollywood. Just like a power woman, lots of connections. I want to be your best friend type, But she's like, but I don't want to sign you.
I know. And that's what's so funny. She wants to be your best friend, but she doesn't want to sign her.
Because there's no room on the roster, which is a typical situation in a lot of agencies.
And then there was some line she said where she was like, I really want to hook you up with my hidden big opportunities list. I feel like that line was for like all of the struggling actors and comics out there. I knew there was a hidden big opportunities list. Right.
The show is just so tuned in to this showbiz mentality. I love it.
That's my favorite part about the show, I think.
Just how it's so subtle, but it's so true. Like, there's just so much truth in what we're seeing and learning. So they're talking. Of course, this Karen Gresham character, first of all, Anna Gasteyer's performance is just amazing. It's 150%. Like, I've never seen a performance this... It's big. But I like it, and because it feels like it's recognizable. And all of a sudden, Maria Bamford is no longer Maria Bamford, but she's just a little lamb listening.
Right.
This is great. What do you guys think of this?
Now, I felt like that was like going into her mind a little bit of how she was feeling like that.
Yeah.
The representation was of the lamb. That was her.
The show's very surreal. I feel like sometimes we're watching real life, sometimes we're watching Maria's brain.
Yes.
And it's so fun because even as a viewer, you kind of feel like you might be going into psychosis a little, which might be an insensitive word, but the understanding just the cognitive state of where Maria is, which is so interesting. So Did you guys kind of take that as like she's a sheep in the industry? She's just kind of blindly following?
I like that. I like that.
I wasn't sure
Possibly.
how to take it. I don't know.
I didn't, but
Yeah. It could just be there's just a sheep on screen.
I was just taking it as her comparison to how she felt, just like what you were saying, to Karen. You know,
Yeah.
like she's this big personality, big agent, and then she's like throwing all this stuff at her at one time, and then you cut to her, and she's just like
This little lamb.
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm innocent.
Yeah, this meek little lamb.
Yeah.
Totally. So then this whole Vespa thing happens. She gets her Vespa right then and there. It's our joke. It's our Vespa. Get the fuck on this Vespa.
Yeah.
Now, what did you guys think about that? Did you think that there was some kind of symbolism in that?
Well, it's interesting because there's this sidecar that Karen gives her, and then they take it home, and then Bruce also puts a sidecar on the same exact Vespa. So I feel like we're already sensing this competition between the two a little bit. I don't know if you guys sense that at all. I just thought it was interesting. Both of them are trying to,
yeah.
Add.
Latch
Well,
on.
I feel like
Yeah.
Bruce was like okay with her. Like he was on board with her switching managers or taking
was.
on
That
another
surprised me.
manager.
Right.
So yeah. I didn't see anything that I thought was leading to competition, but like maybe
down the road.
Maybe down the road. Yeah.
It was interesting though. He said instead of using solder to get the sidecar on, he used the flesh of his own hands. So, definitely making sacrifices for Maria's career.
Yes.
We see Jon Cryer for a minute. That was kind of fun.
That was super fun.
Nice cameo.
Yeah.
So then we have this Vespa montage where they're like driving through LA. It's like very clearly artificial.
Yeah, like a bad green screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They drive by Beverly Hills whale oil.
Right.
Such a weird touch. That caught me out of nowhere. And then we're back to the present again. And Maria's floating in a pool, and there's all this Mark McGrath stuff. Are you guys Sugar Ray fans?
Well, I mean, I grew up with Sugar on the radio, of course. Yeah, sure.
After watching this episode, I went and like listened to all his songs again, and I was like,
I
like,
love
I remember the 90s.
Yeah.
when she's like singing and he's like, "That's not how it goes," and she's like, "You know that we can't afford the real melody."
Exactly.
Like
That was
again,
awesome.
Yeah.
just those little like inside baseball of production.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I didn't understand, Mark McGrath was very mad. Do we know why he was so angry? I couldn't actually figure out, like, circumstantially why he was so mad.
Maybe he was just playing like an angry celebrity.
Yeah.
You know, just being kind of like a jerk celebrity type figure. I don't know though.
Yeah, I feel like it was just a writer's choice of like what's a funny thing that's pretty uncharacteristic of him. Most people wouldn't see him like this. I just felt like it was just like a funny character choice.
Just a way to paint him
what I-
differently than what we would
yeah.
expect. I do like his line of where he's like, I would do this whole polo team because I'm mostly straight. It was something like that.
Yeah.
I really appreciated his ability to swallow his pride and do a little comedy. That was fun to see. So we find out the connection here is that I think Mark McGrath is also represented by Bruce Ben Bachrock.
Yes.
Oh, isn't he?
That's how
Okay.
they connected, right? He and Maria.
Exactly,
Okay.
yeah.
Cool.
And we find out that as a gift, Maria's going to perform stand-up for Mark McGrath's charity,
Yes.
Open Arms. It sounds like a very nice, welcoming charity until we learn that it's actually a very vehement gun rights group. So this is classic comedy move, but in a unique way. It's, it feels like a sitcom beat that we don't expect. So everyone's going to this comedy show, and we learn about these three different timelines. We actually get to see Maria at her worst, which is Duluth Maria, which is her breakdown. Of course, we learn about the color saturation. So this is the third timeline we get to explore. This had kind of a different tone for me, which I liked. Did you guys kind of sense a shift in the way the show felt when we saw Maria in Duluth?
In Duluth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which Duluth was it? Are you talking about?
So this is like blue saturation Maria in the loony bin, what they call
Yes.
it, Duluth. What did you guys, because we cut here right now. What did you guys think of all these scenes?
Well, one thing that stood out to me most is that I love Mary Kay Place as her mom, first of all, because she's so funny and dramatic in any role that she plays. But but she's not, to me, she's not her mom as Maria's paints her mom in her stand-up. Because Maria paints her mom in her stand-up a lot more like harping on her, Maria, why don't you? She harping on her a lot more, and I didn't see her like that so much. And she says that Maria says her mom's very religious. I think we got a little bit of that in the second one, but like, it was super cool to really enjoy this character, but also it was different than I was imagining that her mom would be.
Yeah, definitely. It was a surprise. And in general, I kind of felt like this was a more kind of soft, almost sensitive. You know, the comedy wasn't quite as loud, and it was still exaggerated, but there was almost a sense of sadness and pathos a little bit to these scenes. Did you guys sense that?
Agreed, especially like during craft time when they were all doing their crafts and the other people in the psych ward were fighting about the different clippings in the magazines. And Maria's like, well, there's enough Oscars for everybody. We can all share. So again, it's like she looks like she's the sane one and everyone else is crazy.
I know, it's really interesting. And everyone around her is very angry all the time.
Yes.
And I wasn't sure if this was what she sees or what she feels, if that's being projected on her, or if they really are. Because it's interesting, she comes home from the psych ward, and her family's really kind of mean. And we meet Susan, who's her friend.
Oh, boy.
Mo Collins playing
Mo Collins.
Susan.
She's great.
She's
amazing.
great.
Yeah.
So funny.
So funny.
And Stephanie Weir playing what would you call her in the psych ward?
Yeah, the
therapist or whatever. Both of them.
Janice maybe was her name.
Yeah, I think it was Janice, something like that.
Yeah. But yeah, everybody's very aggressive. Even, I don't know if it's even, I guess it is angry. But like, just because I don't know if Mo Collins' character is angry. She's just more aggressive. She's just big and aggressive. And
I did get notes of Maria's sister if you listen to her stand-up. It's interesting because they didn't write Mo Collins' character. I think Susan is her name on the show. They didn't write her as her sister, but you kind of could feel that if you've listened to her stand-up before. So
Right.
interesting.
So yeah, they're like, you know what, be angry, stand up for yourself, say how you're really feeling. So they go and play this anger badminton game. This was a funny scene. We're going back and forth.
Yeah.
The one thing I love about Maria is her performance is so sweet. She's got such a sweet,
She does have a sweet demeanor.
she's probably not the most balanced person you've ever met, but her heart just feels so big, which I love, and she can't be mean until finally they force her to.
They force her to do it.
That's what I like most about I don't know if I like most about it, but we see so many shows like Curb Your Enthusiasm and Louie where the character and the comedian character is looking at this world through this lens of annoyance at everything. And this is exactly the opposite of that. Everybody else is angry and annoyed and aggressive, but she's like the optimistic and the pleasant one, and everything's going to be okay. So it's really cool that there's this like reverse with this show. I really appreciate that about it.
Definitely.
Yeah, I like that perspective a lot. That's good.
And it works.
And it works. And it feels so fresh. We kind of saw with Kimmy Schmidt like the sunny dark comedy, but this feels so different. I don't know if I've seen anything like this before.
Yeah.
So then we're back into the present. We're at this comedy show, and of course we find it's the gun rights people. Maria gets on stage. We see John Mulaney shows up, which is I'm a huge John Mulaney fan. Yeah. So that was fun to see him. I don't know if you guys watched his show. God bless him. The show was not amazing. That's all right. I think.
What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? That's all right. He got a show. That's something. And I don't know if you guys watched The Comeback Kid, but his most recent stand-up special, he's back to true form. But I love that he swallowed his pride and came on this show and joked about, the tropes of the comedian show. She gets on stage, she gets booed off stage, and Patton Oswalt comes up and saves the day. Hilarious that he actually does have to save the day. I think her quote was, "It looks like my show is really finding its own voice." Well, and Patton's doing stand-up. Well, it's Patton's voice. But he really is very good. That was funny.
Oh, yeah, and we forgot to Brian Posehn, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
he was the other co-cop, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so much
He's
fun.
like, you're not even trying. Look at what you're wearing.
Not in a costume at all. And then it ends with, of course, everyone destroying the bench, which feels a bit like probably a foreshadow of the struggles that Maria will be facing throughout the season.
Yes.
So thoughts on I didn't even ask. Thoughts on the first episode. What do you guys think, now that we've kind of discussed it? Anything I didn't touch that you wanted to focus on?
I don't know. Should we talk about the bench at all? Because I feel like I feel like she kind of had a theme for each episode. So like this first episode, she really wanted to talk about community. And I feel like the bench was the symbolism of community.
Getting people together.
And I've heard she actually is, in her neighborhood, my friends on the city council, I've heard she is very civically active. So there were like these little parts of the show where it was like, it goes realistic into the way she actually is and then completely fictional into the way just this character is and stuff like that. Seeing both sides of those.
Great. Cool. So yeah, that's the first episode. If there's nothing we didn't cover, let's move on and talk about the second one, right?
Awesome.
Yes.
Great.
Yay.
So this was called, I think, because Bisexual Because of Meth.
Nice title.
Nice title. And we're going to talk about it. It kind of subverted what we expected because this character of the bisexual meth addict was not nearly as... Well, we'll
It
get
was
into
what
it.
you think it would be. Maybe.
So first thoughts and reactions to this episode before we dive into it.
Me? Me? Let me wrap my brain around it for a second. Somebody else.
I kinda
Same
think-
here.
Yeah.
Well, I liked this one getting into it, like I talked about earlier. I liked this one better when I first started watching it because I knew that there was going to be, you know, like maybe a lamb pop up or, you know, some jarring thing that I wasn't expecting or I've never seen before. So I was like prepared going into that. So I was able to see the whole structure and story, I think, a little bit better on the second episode.
Definitely.
And I really liked it. She talked about, you know, her gut and self-esteem, like kind of as a theme, I thought, on this one. And I really liked this episode, so I thought it was really good. I've liked them both so far, so it's hard to really...
They were pretty different, these two episodes, which I liked.
yeah.
I
Yes.
think I might have even liked this one better than the pilot. The pilot was so ambitious that I think sometimes I had
Super.
trouble
Yeah.
following the beats and just being like,
Yes.
Yeah.
which was so cool. I mean, we've never seen a sitcom pilot like that.
Second was a little bit more narrative,
More
linear.
traditional.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And just one thought, I know we've already talked about this at the very beginning, but with like a producer that's done South Park and has come from Cartoon Land, I guess, or animation, they can do anything with animation, and I feel like they tried to do that with this show, which is really cool, because I like that they have that just open... let's try anything, let's do anything with this show with humans, you know, is kind of how I saw it, and I thought I really liked that.
You're right. It's very risky and
Yes.
it doesn't say no. Just like a good just like a good improviser, they say yes on this show. So Bruce is pitching some projects, and we see this commercial for Pussy Noodles. Have you guys ever seen a more insane commercial in your life?
No, I don't think I have.
No, but like Japanese
Yeah.
TV can be wacky and
Yeah.
zany like that. So
It can be this way, yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of. I got.
It's like the perfect parody of a Japanese commercial for randomness. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was crazy. And of course Maria's like, "Whoa, like I don't know if this is maybe up my alley." And he's like, "Well, they assured us that this is actually it's gonna be way more violent than what you just saw." That's how he tries to pitch her on the show.
Oh, good, I was worried.
I know, exactly. So she's like, I don't think so. And we cut to this scene of her doing a multicam sitcom called Baby on
Baby
Board.
on Board.
What did you guys think of this scene?
It's great.
it's great.
Yeah.
I love it.
So funny. I love how they weren't afraid to just make fun of the terrible tropes on these multicam shows.
Yeah, and then what did she say? Something like you're just being an adorable misogynist, like pointing out that like he's still being, you know.
I know. Yeah, it was so much fun to watch Maria in character just like vent to this baby about how he's like a symbol of the oppressive patriarchy. And I had to write down the quote. I think she said, "Let's lock you in a room for 12 hours and you be begging for these slammin' mammary jammers."
Mary Jammers.
Yeah. So Maria gets fired from the show, but of course Bruce demands that she at least stay for the whole day, and she's like, "Oh, this is great."
As a great manager would, right?
Yeah. So then we cut again to Larissa. Wow, this is funny. I'm just realizing that structurally, this episode, we're meeting the same characters in the exact same scenes in the same order.
Oh, cool.
Oh, really?
I wonder if that's something we're going to see throughout the whole show.
Structure.
That's cool.
I know, we'll have to
Make
see.
it up.
So we see Larissa's talking all about numerology. She goes, "You can call me Lala now. That's what I want to be called." Do you guys know this person? Being in LA, we're all from LA. Do you
Oh,
feel
yeah.
like, yeah.
You mean like their stage name or their nickname, or they want to
Yeah.
have a new name so they forget their old one?
Oh my gosh. And just like into numerology, and like she's like, "I'm an empath, so I couldn't come visit you when you were
I think
sick."
crystals is the thing right now.
Crystals, yeah.
And
Mercury retrograde.
Yeah.
is it
Oh
in
my
that
gosh.
scene where she says something like, I'm gonna have to have a peanut today?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, because wasn't she allergic
She allergic,
to
so like
peanuts
she's
or
getting
something?
Well, you just
sick.
assume,
Get
but,
sick.
like,
Right.
Right.
Such a martyr.
Yeah.
So good.
But this is when we learn about Shane, the bisexual meth addict,
Oh,
who's
boy.
friends with. Was he friends with Larissa or with Dagbar?
I thought Larissa.
Larissa. Did I
But-
say Marissa or Larissa?
Yeah.
You said Larissa.
I was
work with
saying
the
it
Marissa,
too.
so-
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like a loose
La, la,
connection
la.
with
Yeah.
Lala.
Yeah,
You
it's a
know.
loose
Right.
connection. Exactly. So
She forces Maria into going on this date.
Yes.
I know, and this is what I love. I expected some cartoony, homeless, tweaked out guy.
Same.
Yep.
And we get this really good looking, kind of soapy, like soap opera looking guy.
They did a good job of setting it up that it would be that way. Like
Right.
Yeah.
And just like Maria, that's what we're expecting. And he's not at all. So we go to this restaurant called the Switch Hitter.
Switch hitter.
Yeah.
I was going to say pitcher and catcher.
And he goes, I didn't mean to overwhelm you with this restaurant. I'm a big baseball fan. I love that twist. And of course, there's all these jokes about.
Oh my goodness.
So funny.
All the sexual innuendos.
Yeah.
It was pretty heavy.
It was
all of a
pretty
sudden.
heavy-handed, yeah. But Shane is this nice guy, and we think like maybe Maria's met a nice guy. So they have a good conversation. They kind of hit it off. Meanwhile, we do have a flashback. Oh, okay, so there's that. We do flash back to Duluth, and we get a picture of the Bamford family bammed.
Yes.
Yeah, the family meeting.
Yeah, the family meeting.
It was in the meeting.
Oh,
Wait,
yeah, so
or
the
is
meeting,
it in the band or
the meeting first, and then the band.
Okay.
Were you gonna say something about the meeting, Kelsey, or?
No, not particularly, but she just calls her whole family over and is like, we're
Symbols.
gonna have a meeting, and then like pulls the garage
in front of the
up.
garage.
In front of the garage,
Yeah,
yeah.
and
Your
it's
mom
like,
keeps saying she's gonna stop doing the symbols. I'm gonna.
The floodgates will open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, didn't she say she got released from the psych ward at the same time, and that's why she started the band?
Yeah, I think it was.
she had the
A
big
musical coping.
Yeah, she was announcing to her family the big C word, I'm cured.
Yeah. Yes. The big secret.
Yeah.
So we get to see this performance, and I kind of thought in the same way. This was really funny, but kind of had a twinge of sadness to it.
Yes.
I loved how Mary Kay Place, she was cracking me up in the back, just not moving, just like looking down at her guitar. I don't know why that was so funny to me, but sometimes it's the notes you're not playing. Like it's those little quiet. She was just making me laugh and just standing there just looking so morose playing the guitar. I was loving that.
Yeah. What did you guys think of this performance?
Well, it was a disaster, obviously.
Yeah, it was a disaster.
And then poor Maria, I mean, we clearly could see that she wasn't ready to go out in the world.
Definitely not.
She's a little baby.
She's a little baby, and you know what I forgot to even talk about? Speaking of little baby, there was that scene in the first episode where she shuts the door of the van and she comes out and she's this little kid.
Yeah, that's right.
That was cool.
Those touches are so interesting, and they kind of make you think, for a comedy. They make you feel something a little bit. I was kind of moved by that choice.
Yeah.
Anyway, she collapses on stage, and this was a moment that to me was funny, but with the twinge of sadness, where she's like,
Agreed.
I'm not cured yet.
But we did get to see a glimpse of what you were talking about with the mom, her religious side and how she picks up the mic and that whole bit. So it was interesting that you got to see not only what was happening to her, but you got to see her family, because with the father, he was nervous and he was like, I have stage fright, and she was like, come on, Dad, what's the worst that could happen? You could die, and that's it. So let's just do it.
So let's just do it.
So we got to see both her parents, I guess, a little bit more.
Ed Begley Jr. and Mary Kay Place are both so good at being hilarious straight people. Like they didn't have any lines that were particularly. No, I guess they did, because the whole the floodgates are about to open and stuff. But like they're just so funny, just being serious.
You're right.
I love that.
And even those lines are played in a way that's very believable. I'm like, you hear her say it and you buy in, but there's this comedy too.
Yeah.
You're so right about that. So we come back to the present, and we're at the restaurant, which I think the restaurant was called A Serious Scene. Was what I read.
Yes.
Because he walks up, he goes, welcome to a serious scene. In a serious scene, you're not going to be hearing a lot from the waiters. And he backs away. We're in a serious scene. We have this kind of heartfelt conversation. And I kind of wondered if this might lead to something where we might see him come back. But of course, no. Because they leave, and Maria's like, I'm not going to go home. We get this radio bit where the radio is actually narrating Maria's thoughts. What did you guys think of this?
Oh, that was very clever writing.
It was very great writing.
Yeah. And then, of course, that's like inner turmoil for everybody going on dates. What are you going to do? What's your next move going to be?
Exactly.
And then she goes, I'm just going to go back to his house.
Right.
Go find him.
Definitely.
And it's just another excuse for Maria to do more of the voices, being the radio.
Oh, there you go.
You know how good? That's how good she's at voices. I didn't even pick up on that.
She's
Oh
a
my gosh.
I didn't even
virtuoso.
realize that she was.
She was being her Terry Gross voice.
Yeah.
She's a virtuoso at the voices.
It's amazing.
She's
I mean,
amazing.
she's so good. I didn't even pick up on it.
So talented.
What a smart way to write her inner monologue. Have the radio do it. It's not a voiceover. We do get voiceover, but you know what? It's a way to develop her character, let us in a way that we can relate to, which is talk radio. So we get to Shane's place. Of course, he's with another man. And, I mean, this is kind of what we expect. We didn't expect that this was going to go perfectly. And this scene was just so funny because we think that maybe Shane is another side. And then Gabriel walks in. We learn that they don't have another side. What do you guys think of this whole kind of love triangle thing?
It was a really fun push and pull of because I thought when she saw through the window that this guy was going down on him, I was like, oh, that's not really what's happening. But then she walks in and it was what was really happening. And then but then it kept going back between and she's like, and then she forgives him right away and is just like, oh no, I came to, and that guy leaves, but then the guy that really is his boyfriend comes in, and so it was this really interesting back and forth of whether I'm believing what I'm seeing or not. Yeah,
did you guys see this coming at all, or not really?
No.
Yeah, I was totally surprised. And what I loved was, I thought it was going to be that he wasn't right for her because he was a bisexual meth addict.
Right.
But it's no, he was just a douchebag. It was he just wasn't a good guy, which, that was great writing. And then what a way to bring the episode home. We're all of a sudden thrown onto this Japanese game show. What did you guys think of this?
That was brilliant.
Brilliant.
Brilliant writing.
I know, it was brilliant. It hit every theme and it brought it all home. I think the question is, does he like pussy or does he like noodle?
Does he like noodle?
I was I can't believe they brought that back. And I would have given the episode a B, and then when they brought it home with that final commercial, I was like, this was a perfect way to tie everything together. At least for me.
Yeah.
And it just really played into, the themes of these crazy Japanese game shows, and it had this heartwarming component to it.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it started talking about how she did decide to go with her intuition at the end. Mm-hmm. She decided ultimately that you should go with your gut. So there was a nice little lesson at the end.
It was really sweet. I like this. I love when shows can be subversive, but also kind of have that lesson at the end. Do you guys watch Modern Family at all?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Love that show. It's the same thing where you're dying of laughter, and then all of a sudden, you've got this little twinge of heartwarming, do a little learning.
They just wrap it up with a sweet little bow.
The more you know.
Yeah, the more you know. So I thought this was really sweet and perfect, but in a way that probably only a show like this could do. Yeah. Any other thoughts before we dive into predictions about this episode in particular? We kind of moved through it quickly, but...
We did. I love the show. I love that aspect that we were talking about. And I think the perfect descriptor is sweet. She's so sweet and like a little lamb, like a little baby. And I just think that's makes it more relatable as a viewer to be able to watch her and just be rooting for her the whole time. And I like how they do these jarring things to it. It's so unlike anything else that I've watched, that I am impressed by it, and I really like this.
Yeah.
So I like how she does it, and I like the little bow on the end.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that's cute.
Anything about the show as a whole, Lisa, that you think? Or
I'm excited just to keep moving on with it. I know we all stopped at episode 2, but I'm excited to see, because we settled in on episode 2 with the whole past and present thing, and then now when we get to 3, I feel like we're going to really get the flow in. It's going to be good.
Me too.
Mm-hmm.
I like that, Maria should have, most people in comedy say Maria should have had her own show a long time ago. Mm-hmm. So it's well overdue. But that being said, now that it's here, it seems like that she's got carte blanche and she's just experimenting and doing all kinds of, it's so unconventional. It's things that probably wouldn't even been allowed to be produced even 5 years ago, So it's so, it's just so kind of groundbreaking, and who knows, in the actuality of behind the scenes of production, maybe she's not actually, I don't know if she's actually getting what she wants or not, but it seems like that she's really just has carte blanche, and she's really having a lot of fun playing around.
Yeah.
So that's what I really like about it. I'm excited that it's been long overdue that she's had her own show, and so if now that it has come, she can do whatever she wants.
Yeah, from what I know, I listened to an NPR interview, and she said she does feel safe on the show, and it's a good melding of the minds. Mitchell Hurwitz, Pam Brady, and Maria Bamford. it's just such a good team.
And just the degree of talent that's on it. I mean, I can't wait. I want to see more Mo Collins. I want to see more Stephanie Weir. I want to see more Patton, and I know some other people that are going to be on we haven't watched yet. So I'm super excited. Just the level of talent and hilarity that is they're giving us.
Yeah.
Perfect.
We'll do some quick predictions if that's okay.
Your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Any predictions, Tamra, that we haven't seen yet? It's different with comedy. It's not like
It's different with comedy because I don't know if there's going to be like an overarching storyline yet. So I can't say that she's, going to move back to Minnesota or whatever. Like I don't have a prediction like that. But I just am excited to see what other like crazy thing they're going to throw at us that's like in the same vein of like breaking the fourth wall and doing these weird like behind the curtain glimpses of production. Like I want to see what else they're going to show us. That's exciting.
Yeah, same. I don't really know how to do a prediction with this one.
With a show like this.
It's so tough. And how can you predict with all the stuff that they throw at us? But I am excited, looking forward to the structure and the little themes at the end, like what she's going to talk about and what she's going to go into, like with mental health a little bit more. So hopefully there's going to be some more little themes like community and like gut feeling and stuff like that. So
yeah, I like the mental health aspect too. I think that's really exciting to see.
Because that's something that is still taboo as far on TV. Like it's never shown in a positive light, and not that it's shown in a positive light on this show, but it's not shown in a negative light of this is a bad thing that you should feel bad about. Having a mental illness. It's not like that. It's really
non-judgmental.
The first time non-judgmental.
Yeah. Definitely.
And nobody else really talks about it either.
Yeah. It's very courageous. I mean, she's being pretty brave on this show. She's digging into parts of herself that I know I would be afraid to explore on a streaming show on Netflix. Sure. The only thing I think we're going to see is I'm predicting a little bit of headbutting between Bruce and Karen. I don't know. We'll see down the road. But I'm excited to see them because they haven't really interacted yet on the show. So at least the two of it, you guys have probably all watched all 12. But the two that we...
Are we ready?
Yeah, so I think that's it. I think we covered as much as we could.
Yeah.
For now, we're going to wrap, but you guys can catch us next week at the exact same time. Again, rate, like, subscribe, all that stuff. We'll be covering episodes 3 and 4 next week. In the meantime, you guys can catch me on Twitter at Jeffrey C. Graham and Instagram at Jeffrey Crane Graham.
I'm Tamra Brown on Twitter at Brown Tamra, on Instagram at Tamra_blue, and at Snapchat at Hey Tamra, because all of my handles are completely different and confusing.
And you can follow me, Kelsey Hightower, on at Kels Hightower.
And you can find me everywhere at Lisa Mason Lee.
Great. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.